My name is Emma. I live in Berlin with my husband, Jack. Jack is not rich, but he is kind and honest. We live in a small flat near a busy street. Jack works in a garage fixing cars. I stay home and take care of the house. Sometimes I cook simple meals and sometimes I visit the small market near our flat. Life is not easy, but we are happy. We do not fight. Jack always comes home with a smile, and I always wait for him with warm food. One of our neighbors is a man named David. He owns a big electronics store across the street. He drives a new black car and wears nice suits every day. His hair is always neat and he smells like expensive perfume. David is single and many women in our area talk about him, but I never really paid attention to him. I was happy with Jack. One afternoon, I was standing outside our building. I had just come back from the market. David walked past and stopped. He looked at me and smiled. "You are very beautiful," he said. I didn't know what to say. No one talked to me like that before except Jack. I gave a small smile and said, "Thank you." David looked at the shopping bag in my hand. "Do you always buy vegetables from that small market?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. "It's near and cheap." He looked at my clothes. I was wearing a simple blue dress. A little old but still fine. "You're too beautiful for such clothes," he said. "Why doesn't your husband buy you something nice?" I laughed a little, but I felt strange. I told him I was happy with what I had. He smiled again and said, "If I were your husband, I'd dress you like a queen." I went upstairs quickly and didn't tell Jack about it. But the next day, David saw me again. He said hello and smiled. He didn't say anything strange, but the next day, he came again. Every time I saw him, he spoke in a kind voice. At first, I thought he was just being friendly, but he started saying more things like, "You're wasting your beauty in that little flat, and your husband doesn't see what he has." I told him to stop once, but he just laughed. "I'm only telling the truth," he said. One evening, I looked at myself in the mirror. My dress had a small tear near the hem. I had not bought new clothes in a long time. Jack always said I looked perfect, even in old clothes. But now, I began to wonder, why didn't Jack buy me something new? Maybe David was right. Maybe Jack didn't think about me enough. That night when Jack came home, I asked him, "Why don't you ever buy me new clothes?" Jack was surprised. "You always said you don't care about clothes," he said. "You always told me love is more important." I looked down. "Yes, but it's been years. I want to feel special." Jack looked at me with sad eyes. "You're special to me every day, but if new clothes will make you happy, I will buy you something." The next day, Jack didn't go to work. He went to a second-hand store and found a lovely red dress. It wasn't brand new, but it was beautiful. When he gave it to me, I almost cried. "You didn't have to skip work," I said. "I wanted to do something nice for you," Jack said. "I want you to feel good." That evening, I wore the red dress. It fit well, and I felt beautiful. When I went outside to water the plants, David saw me. He smiled and said, "So your husband listened. Good. But clothes are not enough. A woman like you deserves more." He opened the back of his car. Inside was a small box. He opened it slowly. Inside were gold earrings and a necklace. "These are for you," he said. "If you leave that small garage boy and come to me, all this will be yours." I felt like the ground moved under my feet. I closed the box and said, "I don't want this." But he just smiled again and said, "Think about it. You look like a woman who wants more." I told Jack that night about the earrings. I didn't tell him everything before, but now I felt I had to. Jack looked serious, but not angry. "I will not let someone talk to you like that again," he said. "You are not something to buy." "I know," I said softly, but still, it made me think, why don't we have nice things? Why do we always struggle? Jack held my hands. "Because we chose love, not money." I didn't say anything. My heart felt full, but also confused. The next morning, I saw David again. He waved at me from his car. I didn't wave back, but I still thought about what he said. I knew I loved Jack, but a small part of me still wondered what life would be like with more things, more comfort. That night, when Jack came home, he had a small box in his hand. "I used some of our savings," he said. "I got you something." I opened the box. Inside was a thin gold chain and a pair of small gold earrings. Not as shiny as David's, but they were beautiful. I don't want you to feel less, Jack said. Not when you are more to me than anything. I hugged him tightly. I didn't care where the gold came from. I just felt loved. But David didn't stop. The next day, he said something new. Gold is just the beginning. I can give you a better life. And more than that, I can do something your husband never can. What do you mean? I asked. Magic, he said. I can make miracles. I can change your life. I laughed, but he was serious. Your husband gave you clothes and a chain, but love, true love, can do miracles. Can your husband do that? That evening, I sat in silence. Jack noticed. Are you okay? He asked. I nodded, but I was not okay. I was beginning to wonder something dangerous. Was love enough before I share the rest of my story? I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning, I stood by the window and watched Jack walk down the street toward the garage. He didn't see me looking, but I watched him until he disappeared behind the row of shops. He had left early again, even before sunrise. It was his day off, but he wanted to work extra hours. I knew he did it for me, and that made my chest feel heavy. I turned from the window and looked around our small flat. The kitchen tiles were chipped, the table was old, and the curtains were faded. I had never cared about these things before. I used to feel lucky just to share this space with someone who loved me. But something inside me had changed, and I didn't like it. I couldn't stop thinking about David's words, about what he had said with such ease, as if it were nothing to offer a new apartment, shiny gold, and a better life. That afternoon, David was waiting near the building again. I saw him leaning against his car as I returned from the shop. He waved and walked over before I could say anything. I told myself I should keep walking, but I didn't. You look tired, he said, pretending to sound kind. Still no miracle. I told you not to come again, I said, my voice quiet. He smiled in a way that made me feel small. I'm not here to make trouble. I just want you to see the truth. A woman like you should not live in a place like this. I didn't reply. I just wanted him to stop talking. But he didn't. Come with me, he said, even just to see. You don't have to decide today. I shook my head. No. I'm married. I won't go anywhere with you. You're married? Yes, he said, looking straight at me. But are you happy? I didn't answer. I went inside and closed the door. I stood behind it for a long moment, listening to the sound of his car engine as he finally drove away. That evening, Jack came home later than usual. His hands were dirty and he had dark circles under his eyes. He placed a small bag on the table. Inside was a simple gold chain and 2 small earrings. They weren't from a fancy store. They didn't shine like David's gold, but I stared at them for a long time. I used some of our savings, Jack said. I wanted you to have something nice. I know you've been feeling low. I didn't know what to say. I felt ashamed. I touched the chain gently and looked at him. Thank you, I whispered. I wish I could give you more, he said, but this is what I could manage right now. I wanted to hug him, to tell him I didn't need anything else, but I didn't. I was confused. My heart felt pulled in 2 directions, and I hated that I had let it get this far. The next day, I didn't leave the flat. I cleaned, I cooked, and I tried to forget David's face. But in the afternoon, he came again. This time he didn't speak right away. He just stood in the doorway and held up a small velvet box. I know your husband bought you something, he said, but let me show you what real love looks like. He opened the box. Inside was a necklace made of thick gold and matching earrings. They looked heavy and expensive. I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. I can give you comfort, he said. Not just pretty things, but peace, a better home, a life without stress. I stared at the jewelry for a few seconds, then closed the box and handed it back. Please leave, I said. I'm not your enemy, David said, stepping back. But if you ever want more, you know where to find me. He left and I sat down on the couch, my hands shaking. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had always believed in love. I had always believed in Jack. But now I felt lost. That night, I didn't eat. Jack noticed, but he didn't say much. After dinner, I asked him something I had never asked before. Do you think love is enough? Jack looked surprised. He put down his cup and stared at me. What do you mean? He asked. I mean, we work hard, we try so much, but we still have nothing. We live in this small place. We never go anywhere. You give me what you can. But is it enough? He was quiet for a long time. I don't know, he said, but I've always believed that love was more important than anything else. I still believe that. I looked away. I didn't want him to see my eyes. I was afraid of what he might see in them. Later that night, when he was asleep, I sat at the table alone. I looked at the gold chain he gave me, then at the drawer where I had hidden David's necklace. I didn't take it out, but I thought about it. Not because I wanted it, but because it reminded me that something inside me had already changed. The next morning, Jack left early again. He didn't say much, just a soft take care and a kiss on my head. After he left, I walked around the flat and touched the things we owned. The old photo frames, the cracked coffee cups, the yellowed books on the shelf. They weren't beautiful, they weren't valuable, but they were ours. In the afternoon, David came again. This time, he didn't even bring jewelry. You don't need to answer now, he said, but let me ask you something. Can your husband give you a miracle? I frowned. What kind of miracle? A real one, he said. Something impossible. Something big. That's what true love does. It creates miracles. I laughed, but not because it was funny. Only God makes miracles, I said. David smiled. Maybe, or maybe love can too. That night when Jack came home, I looked at him differently. He was tired. His back hurt. But he still brought me my favorite bread from the bakery. He didn't know that I had been talking to another man. Even if I had said no again and again, he didn't know how close I was to falling apart. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to cry and say I was sorry, but I didn't. Instead, I whispered, Jack, can love really make a miracle? He looked at me for a moment, then smiled softly. If it can, then I will find a way for you. And in that moment, I wasn't sure if I wanted a miracle or if I just wanted to believe in him again. Jack left early again the next morning. He didn't say much before going. He just kissed my cheek, held my hand for a moment, and walked out the door. I sat at the table after he left, staring at my tea. It was still hot, but I didn't drink it. I was thinking about the question I had asked him the night before. Can love make a miracle? All day I felt uneasy. The flat was quiet. I tried to clean, but my hands were slow. I tried to cook, but I wasn't hungry. I thought about Jack, about David, about the small things and big questions. My heart was heavy and I didn't know what I wanted anymore. In the afternoon, David came again. I didn't want to see him, but I opened the door. This is the last time, I said. He smiled like he didn't believe me. Has your husband made a miracle yet? He asked. No. I said he can't. Exactly. David said. Because he's just a man. He loves you, I'm sure. But love without power is just pain. You live in a small flat. You wear second-hand clothes. You eat plain food. I'm offering you more. I looked at him carefully. I used to think he was charming, but now something about him made me feel cold. And what do you want from me? I asked. He stepped closer and said, just your heart. Leave him. Come with me. I will give you comfort, safety, a new life. And yes, miracles. I took a deep breath. Then show me one right now. David's eyes changed. He looked surprised, maybe even nervous. It doesn't work like that. He said, you must choose me first. When you do, the miracles will come. I closed the door without another word. That night, Jack came home late. His clothes were dirty and his hands were shaking from working so much. I made him sit down. I brought him warm water to wash and then I gave him a hot meal. You don't have to do this, I said softly. You're working too much. I see it in your face. He looked up at me. His eyes were tired but kind. I do it because I love you, he said. If I had more, I would give it to you. But for now, all I have is my time and my hands. I sat down beside him and held his arm. I don't want gold, I said. I don't want clothes. I just want peace again. I know, he said, and I'm trying. The next few days were quiet. David didn't come. Maybe he got tired of trying, or maybe he was waiting. I didn't care anymore. I only wanted Jack to be okay. He was losing sleep and skipping meals. He worked long hours at the garage, then helped his brother in the evenings. Sometimes I woke up at night and saw him sitting at the edge of the bed, just staring into the dark. One morning, Jack left without breakfast. I watched him from the window. He looked smaller somehow, like the weight of everything was starting to pull him down. I turned around and looked at our small flat. Then I looked at the drawer where I had hidden the necklace David gave me. I opened it and stared at the gold. I picked it up and walked outside. I didn't stop. I walked straight to David's shop. He wasn't at the door, but one of the workers called him. He came out with his usual smile. "I knew you would come," he said. I held up the necklace. "Take it back." His smile dropped. "I never wanted this," I said. "You didn't give it out of love. You gave it to own me." "You're making a mistake," David said. "No," I replied. "I almost lost the only person who really loves me, but not anymore." I walked away and didn't look back. That night, I waited for Jack with warm food and a calm heart. When he came home, he looked surprised. "You're smiling," he said. "Yes," I answered. "I had to do something today, and now I feel better." We ate together in silence, but the silence felt peaceful this time. After dinner, I told him everything. I told him about the necklace, about David's visits, about the things he said. Jack didn't interrupt me. He just listened. When I finished, I said, "I'm sorry. I was lost." Jack held my hand. "Thank you for telling me. That means everything." The next day, something surprising happened. Jack didn't go to the garage. He told me to get ready and wear something warm. I didn't know why, but I didn't ask. We walked together down the street, then onto a bus, and finally stopped at the edge of a park I had never seen before. There, under a tree, was a small wooden bench. On the bench was a red ribbon. Jack smiled at me. "I made this for you." I looked at the bench. It had two names carved into the wood, Jack and Emma. My eyes filled with tears. "I know it's not a real miracle," he said, "but it's mine. I made it with my hands. It's the best I could do." I sat down on the bench and touched the carving. It was rough, not perfect, but it was real. "It's more than a miracle," I whispered. "It's love." We sat there for a long time. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. In the weeks that followed, something inside me changed. I stopped wishing for more. I started seeing the small things again. Jack's tired smile, the sound of his keys when he came home, the way he always made sure I got the last piece of bread. David stopped coming. I heard later that he moved to another part of the city. Maybe he found someone else to impress. But I didn't think about him anymore. One evening, Jack asked me, "Do you still believe in miracles?" I looked at him and smiled. "I do," I said, "and I married one." We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching, and come back for more real moments.